Hello friends, welcome back. Today on Flavors and Knowledge, Valentine, the saint, and the chocolate. I really don't know why we give out chocolate on Valentine's, or the connection between the 14th of February and the cocoa beans. At first I thought that maybe chocolates were discovered on that day and remained embedded in the minds of those in love. But after some research, I realized that the two have nothing in common, but maybe a little history could make it entertaining. Saint Valentine was born around 176 BC, chosen as archbishop at the age of 26 for the city of Terni in Umbria, smack in the middle of the country. He was continuously persecuted by the Roman Emperor Aureliano because of his strong faith and disciplined belief, eventually murdered in the year 273. The saint's remains rest in a silver statue inside his basilica, which is located at the outskirt of the city of Terni itself. On the bottom of the glass chest, a logo reads, Saint Valentine, the patron of love. Many legends surrounding the saga of the saint. One of them in particular cites a quarrel between two young lovers walking by the saint's garden. And after a moment of pause, he offered a rose to the couple, suggesting them to squeeze the stem and to puncture their fingers. At the sight of blood, the saint smiled and calmly said, Cor Unum, united at heart through the blood. The couple eventually came back months later and asked the saint to marry them, which he did. That date of the matrimony, the 14th of February, remained forever the celebration of Valentine. Many more different legends surround the aura of the Saint Valentine, and through time have evolved into much more than merely an exchange of cards and presents, effectively a search for a substantial commitment of sublime love. But how chocolate got into Valentine is still a mystery. We know that the cocoa tree's scientific name is Theodobroma cacao, which translates in Greek into foods of the gods. The name was chosen by Carlo Linneo, an Italian aristocrat, in 1735. However, it is challenging to identify with certainty the actual arrival of the bean into Europe. Many historians claim that Cortes, the bloody Spanish conquistador, discovered it first, but the evidence is not fully transparent to validate the claim. The actual first recorded passage from the New World city of Veracruz in Mexico to Seville in Spain was in the summer of 1585, when a large shipment of cocoa beans arrived in that Iberian city. In the high courts of Spain, the new presence of chocolate in Europe immediately popularized. The Spaniards, accustomed to marzipan and nougat's sweet flavors, began combining the refined cocoa powder into honey and vanilla beverages. And around the year 1615, Queen Anna of Austria tasted chocolate for the first time on a trip to Spain, and eventually introduced it to her French aristocrat counterparts. The queen supposedly enjoyed melting the chocolate and milk from which its name derives, chocolate. And in Venice, at the beginning of the 700s, the first coffee shops were in fact chocolate shops, where patrons indulged in ritual tastings while inventing other unusual recipes. Nevertheless, the newfound pleasure never really became popular among the masses until much later on. The initial response was of a beverage that resembled a starchy concoction with oily back flavors, that any additional ingredients added to it to masquerade its taste could not really wipe out. However, in 1828, the Dutch scientist Conrad van Alsten obtained a patent that allowed the separation of the seeds, the two primary components, cocoa powder and cocoa butter. The vague chocolate served in elaborate cups in elegant cafes turned into today's luscious craving to the revolutionary method and its introduction. For a very long time, after it arrived in Europe from the Americas, cocoa was an element for the rich and the famous members of the bourgeois elite. It was used primarily as a beverage or as a main ingredient in sweets and many savory dishes such as roast, pasta, and polenta. And after many years of indulgence in drinks, chocolate became even more popular once the liquid was converted into a solid form. The usage of cocoa in savory cooking dishes eventually diminished considerably. The stable version became much more appreciated, especially in the bar forms, and enjoyed throughout the day. In the capital city of Piedmont, Turin, was introduced the first machinery for the refinement of the cocoa itself. After the Napoleon invasion, the cocoa supply became even more costly and challenging. Still, the Torinese chocolatiers substituted part of the cocoa with the famed hazelnuts from Piedmont, which were harvested in the area of the Langhe. They created eventually what it was called the gianduiotto, the chocolate hazelnut concoction shaped like a golden bar and recognized worldwide. Following the enormous success in Piedmont, the British jumped on the innovative idea and created the first Fry & Sons chocolate bar made with a mixture of cocoa butter, sugar, chocolate, and liqueur. Fine chocolates was introduced in fine cafes and bars in the Orient in such cities as Istanbul, where they were appropriately called cafeteria, eventually followed by Oxford in England and Venice in Italy. For centuries, it was believed to be a potent aphrodisiac, mainly because of a stimulant called the phenethylamine, which is present in cocoa. Several authors and philosophers carried the unusual habit of consuming chocolates before meeting their dates or offering them as presents along with flowers. We may have been merely moving the global tradition through time. We may never really know the connection between chocolate and St. Valentine, and it really doesn't matter, provided that we continue the same lovable habitué. Happy Valentine to all of you. Please follow Flavors and Knowledge, which is offered on Anchor.fm or any of your preferred platform. And maybe you would like to stop on YouTube and seek for Chef Walter's Cooking School page, where we offer a selection of a videocast about food, health, wellness, history, and much more. And if you are interested in some good tested recipes, you may want to join our newsletter, also called the Flavors and Knowledge, and offered on Substack.com. I will have all the information and the links on the show notes. Meanwhile, if you're on occasion today or tonight, always keep your eyes on the fire, be safe, and eat well. We'll reconnect on the next round. Take care. Ciao, ciao.
Flavors and Knowledge is brought to you by Chef Walter's Cooking School in Cranston, Rhode Island. For classes, workshops, events, and programs, please visit our website at chefwalterscookingschool.com. For all other services offered by Chef Walter's Food Group, check out our main website, chefwalter.com.